All right, it doesn't take much effort to recognize the spirit of lawlessness that too often permeates our society. But there is light amid the darkness. We see it every day in our homes, in our churches, and also with organizations striving to instill the values of character, respect, and integrity for the next generation. Joining me in the studio is the founder of one such organization, Jill Garner. She is an accomplished speaker, educational expert, author, and founder of Manners of the Heart, an organization confronting incivility in our society. Jill, welcome to Washington Watch.
Thank you. Glad to be here, Tony.
Let's talk about the need first for manners, and this is a project, I think, almost 20 years or longer you've been working on.
It is 20 years. Yes.
What prompted you to get into this?
Well, what really prompted this was watching and witnessing the demise of manners and morals in our society. And when I really started studying this issue and what could be done about it, it became very clear that underneath it all, what happened in the 60s that we all talk about, when we think of the demise of manners and morals and the beginning of the demise of our public education system, that we took prayer out of school, we removed God from school. But in some ways, I've wondered if that was almost a smokescreen for something much more insidious that was being planted into society. And that was this notion of this terrible untruth, I like to call it, of self-esteem. And, self-esteem was the same thing as sin of pride in the garden, right? We understood it was bad. Fast forward to the 1500s, vainglory, but we understood the vanity of self, still bad. But then the old enemy decided to call it something new and fresh, and he called it self-esteem. But it's exactly the same thing, the esteeming of self, which is totally antithetical to anything Scripture teaches, right? Scripture teaches that we are to esteem God and we are to esteem others, but never does it say we're to esteem ourselves, right? And it's through the esteeming of God that we find who we are and who we're meant to be, and in the esteeming of others is how children particularly gain and become fortified with self-respect. And an esteeming of God brings a respect for self.
Right.
And so through Manners of the Heart, what we do that's very different and very contrary to other programs that might be teaching something similar in a different way, what we do is teach others-centeredness. And so we are working with children to help them learn how to esteem others and how to put the needs of others ahead of their wants.
Now, you've been doing this in public schools around the country over the last 20 years. What are you seeing? What are the trends that you're seeing in the schools?
Well, it's been interesting and upsetting at the same time as we've continued. The new scores just came out, as I'm sure you're aware, right?
Yeah,
of low math, low science. The scores are
so
down.
Where do you give the scores on manners? Are they getting any better?
In Manners of the Heart schools, they are.
Okay.
Manners of the Heart schools see.
But they're not getting this. I mean, I was talking to my kids about this the other day. They're adults now. We used to have courses on how to answer the telephone in school. Just a proper way to address someone.
Right.
That's gone.
Right. Well, and it's gone because we've lost respect, right? So underneath all of this is when we started esteeming ourselves, it's very hard to esteem yourself while you're respecting someone else. And so you lose that respect for others when you become self-focused, right?
But it really begins with an understanding that there's one who created us.
Right.
With God. And so we gain our sense of worth from God. And once we have that sense of worth, we can do what God says, love others as you love yourself.
Exactly.
Because we understand we have worth, and we understand that the person next to us has worth as well.
And we're not looking for worth and value in the world. In the world's eyes, because we have it. We have it, exactly.
So Manners of the Heart, and you've just written a new book that comes out actually on Veterans Day. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a precious children's book called Little Patriot with a Big Heart. And it's a beautiful story of a little boy named Jack who discovered some shoe boxes in his grandpa's closet, and when he opened the boxes, he found these old photographs and some army that looked like army medals and pictures of soldiers. And so he asked Grandpa to tell him about it. And in the process of Grandpa telling him about it, he discovered that his grandpa was a hero and that his grandpa was a true patriot. And he wanted to know what he had to do and what he had to learn to become a true patriot. And so the book is really about how Grandpa teaches Jack what it really means to be a patriot and what it means to put your country above yourself and what it means to put others above yourself. And I'm not going to spoil the end, but at the end of the story, I almost guarantee a little tear will come at the end of the story for how Jack exhibited the qualities that he learned about being a patriot and being totally other-centered and focused on others, and what it did to warm his grandpa's heart.
How can folks find out more about getting a copy of the book?
They can go to mannersoftheheart.org, to our website, and they'll find it right there. And we're working right now to put together a neat little package to make something a little special with, Christmas coming up, and to make something really special, to make it a gift for kids.
And at that site, Manners of the Heart, they can also find out more about the whole program.
Yes, they can find out more about all of it, and they can also go to jillgarnercontent.org, which is a new website we've just launched within Manners of the Heart, to learn more about this whole concept of other-centeredness and serving others. And there's special offerings there for women and for parents as well too.
All right. Well, Jill, always great to see you. Thanks so much for
Good to see you too.
coming in today.